everybody. Welcome back to another Bottom 5. This is our third Bottom 5 that we have already gotten into. Some people are suggesting that we turn this into, we call these the Low 5.
The Low 5.
And then we call the other one the High 5.
Below the High 5.
The High 5 and the Low 5.
Sure.
I like Bottom 5 and Top 5.
I do too.
I actually like the nuance of getting people to think that this is a negative list and then going, psych, not a negative list. I actually kind of like that a little bit. What are we talking about this week? Well, our Bottom 5 games from 2008.
Oh, 2008 was a year that skipped board games.
Yeah, this was definitely a meh year for me. I know that there are going to be some games that people will point to and say, what? It had this game in it. It was a great year. And yeah.
The thing is, it had 31 pages a game on the Geek. 31 pages.
Wow.
And you could have cut 30 and a half of those pages away and nobody would have noticed.
I have my settings on the Geek to show me 100 games per page, and I had to go 10 pages in, and I still hadn't written down 10 games yet.
I went 20 pages in and I had a problem.
Then I went back and I was like, come on, man, we got to find something. And so I went back and I was like, all right, fine, I'll write that one down too.
He wouldn't let me put Munchkin Booty on there, so
I didn't say that. I just said we need to keep the booty talk to the minimum. It's a family-friendly
Munchkin
channel.
Pirates.
So suffice it to say, this was not a good year for games. I think.
No.
I mean, and
it
again,
had some good games. But
sure. And again, that's like a totally subjective comment. That doesn't mean that it wasn't a good year for gaming for you. Just for us, it was kind of weak. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get to our Bottom 5, numbers 10 through 6 of our games from 2008. Let's hit it.
Right on.
All right, my number 10. And this will kind of tell you what kind of gamer I am, because this is probably, I would imagine, if you've played this game, this is going to be in your top 5.
Okay.
But this one is called Le Havre. And it is a super Euro game, and that's one of the reasons why it's on my number 10, because I think it's a good game. I enjoyed it, but it's not one of those games that I'm going to ask to play ever. If it hits the table and I'm part of the group that it hits it with, fine and dandy, I'll play it. But I don't think I'll ever ask to play Le Havre. So basically, it's called The Harbor. That's what Le Havre means.
Yeah.
And you're basically just being a harbor, accepting all of these different, having your ship travel around to these different places and picking up different commodities like meat and all of this other kind of stuff, and fish, I think, is part of it. It's been so long since I played this game, but
there's some meat, there's some fish, there's a harbor,
yeah.
Something. I haven't played Le Havre. Like it would definitely be in my top 5.
Is this one of those ones that you want to play?
Sure, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I'd love to play it. I just never got to play it.
So I think it's a good game. It's just not one that I would normally want to play, but it made my top 10 list because it was a skimpy year for me.
It was a very tough year. And if that's your 10, then 9 through 1 are going to be fan-freaking-tastic. That's all I got to say.
I don't know if he's going to say that after we get
if that's
to all
your
that.
number 10. All right.
But anyway, that's my number 10, Le Havre.
I would definitely love to play it.
Yep.
My number 10, and actually interesting enough that I found this, because I haven't played this for a long freaking time, and I remember it way back when, and it's been a long, long time, but I did remember I had a good time with it back then. So it is a game from GMT called The Pursuit of Glory. Do you remember that game? You know that game?
I've never played that game.
Big freaking board with the chips. Your chips, like all your different units, are on these just rectangular little like cardboard chips with different shapes on them.
Yeah.
And they're hard to determine and everything, but it's really quite a cool game, man.
That's like an OG war game, dude.
Yeah, I know.
That's why my jaw freaking hit the table. I would have never have seen
really
you playing
cool
this.
action selection with your cards, and it's a beautiful map. It's kind of a crazy game, obviously, with those little chits and stuff. They wouldn't have those anymore.
No, they do.
But they do have those in it. Well,
yes.
I'm not a war gamer, but I do remember playing this game, especially, this is like after playing Risk and stuff like that. And then you go play something that's definitely more involved.
Meaty.
Way
Yeah.
meatier. So I did enjoy this game. Haven't played it for ages, but I did remember it, and it's pretty freaking cool. I don't know if I'd play it today.
We're in a completely different dimension, people.
You might be. Yeah.
Wow.
It's on my list.
Holy Moses.
It was quite an eye-opener when I get to play it.
Okay, that's cool. That's a good pick. Don't get me wrong. I've actually never played it, but it's super loved within the community that I recall, at least. So cool. All right. All right, my number 9 is very much like Paths to Glory. It absolutely is not. It is a little small drafting game called Piece of Cake. Piece of Cake. Yeah, you have these different pie pieces that are out there, and all of the different kinds of pie pieces will score you different points. And you're basically drafting these different pie pieces, and you're making your pie. I think I've
played this.
You're making your pie shape out of it, and it's like one of those games that doesn't. They made another version of it called New York Slice. I think.
Yeah, is that where that came from?
And they made it out of pizza. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they made it out of pizza. That was like the second version of Piece of Cake, and it's just a really neat little drafting game, and I enjoyed playing the drafting game. It's the artwork that depicts the different kinds of pie that are out there, or in New York Slice, the different kinds of pizza, is really good. And it looks good on the table. That's a big thing for me. I'm a huge aesthetic gamer, and I enjoy the drafting mechanic. And that's basically the two reasons why it's on the list. I really enjoy the game, and I think it's one of those iconic games, if I can put it that way, in my own opinion at least, because I can always come back to the times that we played that. And then New York Slice was fun to play as well. But I really enjoyed it. So that's my number 9, Piece of Cake.
I think my sister taught me that quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yep, right on. All right, my number 9 shows how low I had to go to find a game that's at least a game.
But this is your 9. Is that your 10?
This is my 9. Well, because I only played Pursuit of Glory, once, and it was a long time, or twice maybe we played it, but it was really cool.
Yeah.
But my number 9 is a game that I probably would never want to play again, but it is pretty neat. It's got good graphics. It's called Ghost Stories.
Oh, okay.
Ghost Stories is...
It's actually a good game.
Yeah, it is a good game. It's a like a city defense, tower defense type of thought process, and you have 9 cubes in the middle. They have different actions on them. It's super hard.
Yep.
The enemies coming in, and really Ghost Stories is a really pretty. I like the art quite a bit. I like the color scheme of it.
Yep.
And you're using dice to try to beat these monsters as they're coming in and just hammering you to death. But it's a super hard game, but it is a good game.
Yes.
Ish. But yeah, Ghost Stories is my number 9. It did come out in 2008. I knew there's a newer version, The Last Bastion. I think I like the art of Ghost Stories better. Yeah. Which one do you like the mechanics of better? Do you like the?
I was actually going to say that
of this one.
I was actually going to say that I have no desire to play Ghost Stories ever again. It's just one of those games. I understand it's a good game. Don't please.
Same universe.
understand. I know it's a good game. Yeah. I totally get it. It's just it's too hard. It's too hard. I feel like I'm banging my head against a wall every time I played it because I don't feel like I can win. That's how difficult it is to win. So I get it. And Last Bastion, I have a copy of Last Bastion, but that's just because the Piero Lalune, the artist for the game, gifted me a copy with something on with a little inscription on the inside. So there's a nostalgic reason for me to keep it.
Yeah, which is really cool.
So,
but I think it's the fact that like if you're going to have a luck-based game, you know, your difficulty has to be at a certain level.
Yeah.
You can't be luck-based, and you have to be lucky to win, like really lucky to win. Like you have to be fairly lucky to win. That would be nice, but you got to be really, really lucky.
Really lucky. Yeah. So I get it, but that's a good pick. I think it's a great looking game, and people love it. But yeah, it's just not for me. But good pick for you.
On.
All right, my number 8. My number 8 has actually been. I would imagine it's been replaced. I mean, it hasn't. I still own it. But my reason for playing it has greatly diminished because Heat came out.
Oh, Formula D.
Formula D.
So now the one I haven't played that I would like to play from 2008. I've never played it.
Well, I have it. Let's go ahead and play it. Let's go ahead and play it. Not right now, but we'll get it played because Formula D is basically Heat with less control. Because basically, instead of playing cards out of your hand to see how far you go, you're rolling a die.
Right.
Now, the die has a window of how low it can roll and how high it can roll. And when you switch up into that gear, you know that you're going to be hitting that window, but it's kind of a big window.
Yeah, that's good.
And so there is a lot more randomness in Formula D, but it also has the street racing vibe that's going on for it. You can do either Formula One or you can do street racing on it. Nice. So you can do that as well. So I really enjoyed it. Before Heat came along, this was my racing game of choice. And so that's why it's on the list. That's why it's on the list. It's really fun. I think it basically carries the same vibe that Heat does. Just Heat is more of a Euro feel to it because you have more control over the cards that you're playing and the heat that you're bringing into your engine and all that kind of stuff. Where with Formula D, it's more about dice chucking.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy it, though, and it's been a staple on my collection for quite some time. I say that it's been replaced by Heat. I don't think I'm going to be getting rid of it, but you never know. We are coming up to a call here pretty quick. So that's my number 8, Formula D.
Yeah, those are the two that I wrote on there that I would really love to play from 2008.
Le Havre and Formula D. Yep. Yeah, that's good.
But all right, my number 8 is just a romp'em stomp'em good time game, and that is called Monster Apocalypse.
Ooh.
Or Monster Apocalypse.
I thought about putting this on my list. I didn't because I've only played the prototype version of.
But that was just the other version of the other version. But yeah, fair enough.
Kinda, but yeah. I didn't have any other play interest of Monster Apocalypse before I was working for that.
Well, regardless, you get to be a big giant monster walking through a town or a city, smashing buildings and laser beaming things and feeding them to your little bugs or whatever kind of creature you are. So the tanks are on the board and all the little guys are on the board. So it's pretty cool. Or the big mech was the one guy was the mech, right?
Yep.
With tanks and stuff like that. So
if you like Pacific Rim or Pacific Rim Uprising, if you like those movies, that's exactly what Monster Apocalypse is all about.
Yep.
So that's a good pick. That's a good game too. I just didn't include it because I didn't really have any involvement in it in the 2008 version. I only have played it the prototype versions. So that's that. That's a good pick. My number 7 is a sword-making game called Toledo. Toledo has a nice little, got it right up here on my shelf still, and I believe, I want to say Mayfair put it out. I could be wrong, but you're basically traveling up this track as you're walking up the hill through the town, and you're basically trying to create a sword, and you're going to present it to the king.
Nice.
And you're trying to get these different things as you're traveling through the town, and that's one of the cool things that I liked about it is that the town that you have to, it kind of winds through the town, and I don't believe you can go backwards. You can only go forwards.
Gotcha.
So I just really enjoyed it. Again, haven't played it in a long time, but it's one of those games that had that really neat mechanism of creating or forging a sword, and there's just not a whole lot of games out there with that mechanism in it, and that's one of the reasons that really kind of sparked.
Oh, it's a cool theme for sure.
Yeah, it sparked my interest in the game. It's just a neat theme. So that's my number 7, Toledo.
Okay. My number 7 is a good game with lots of cards with pretty pictures on them called Dixit. Okay. Dixit is kind of the grandfather of a lot of the games that we play nowadays, and Dixit still is just as viable today as it ever was.
Absolutely does.
You know, everybody gets a handful of cards. Somebody gets to be the person that tells the description of their card, a sentence or whatever else. Then everybody tries to, you know, match a card to that. They mix them all up, and then you vote on whose card it was, you know. So, and it's just a fun game. The pictures are great.
Yep.
They've got piles and piles and piles of, you know, how they connect them all together and everything else.
There's like multiple expansions for this game, too.
Yep. But, I mean, it created all those other games. Not created, but it brought along Obscurio and
it
Detective Club and all those kinds of...
That genre of games that just uses wonky pictures of things.
Yep.
That, I mean, super artistic, don't get me wrong, but, I usually like... I loved the look of Dixit. I didn't like the structure of it. I like having those kinds of pictures inside another structure, like Mysterium, like Obscurio, like the one that you...
You didn't like that open, just Detective Club.
Detective Club is the other one that you were talking about. I love those kinds of things within a certain structure. I didn't really enjoy Dixit as much with somebody just saying what they thought, you know, and then you have to try to match it. I didn't like
apples to apples of pictures. No, that's way better than apples.
It's way better than apples to apples. I will play this over apples to apples almost any given day. But
with the right group, this would be a lot of fun.
There is some truth to that statement.
Sure.
That it's the apples to apples. It's like apples to apples grown up.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But I do enjoy it. I think it's a good pick. It was on my short list, but it's just one of those games where I was like, okay, well maybe if I can't find anything else, this might make it at 10, you know, something like that. But cool.
But it definitely fits.
Yeah, it does. My number 6, the last of the bottom 5, is a game that I don't know that I'll ever play the base game of this again, but I love the legacy version so much that I couldn't not include it. Pandemic.
Oh.
You were like racking
right over my head, man. Okay.
You were like racking your brain. I love the legacy version of this game so much. I don't know why, but it just, whenever I think of legacy, I think Pandemic Legacy.
Yep.
And it just did it so freaking well. But part of that success was because I think the base game was designed so well.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to have something good before you hang a gimmick on it and make it better.
Yeah.
Which I think that's a poor way to describe a legacy version of a game. But it's kind of gimmicky, right? I think Pandemic was a great design. I mean, it's been used in so many different ways with so many different themes. And most of those games are really good games.
Yep.
So I think it totally deserves to be on my list because I have enjoyed Pandemic so much, whether it's a legacy version or not. And I'm still actually waiting to play Clone Wars. I have Clone Wars.
Yeah.
It's over there. You can't see it. You can't see it. It's back there. It's hidden.
We need to play it.
I know it's there.
I don't even like Star Wars, but I'll play it because it's Pandemic.
A lot of people have said it's the best iteration. A lot of people have said
I
want to
know how close it is or how it matches the Wrath of the Lich King one.
Yeah, I've got that one right behind us.
Yep.
And that one's a good one as well. So I couldn't not include it on my list. That's my number 6, Pandemic.
Yeah. If it wasn't on your list, you'd have to burn your list. Just saying. All right. My number 6 is one that has to be on this list as well. Although I moved on to not bigger deck builders. That's the wrong word because it's probably the biggest deck builder now that all the expansions are out. But that is Dominion. Dominion's the OG deck builder, mostly the OG deck builder. Now, after moving on to Star Realms and Ascension and those kind of things, and then all of the current ones.
I mean, really, any deck builder.
Yeah.
This was like one of the first ones.
Yeah.
One of the, if not the first one, it was definitely the most popular first one.
Yeah, I didn't stick to Dominion very long.
Neither
when the
did
other
I.
ones came out. But obviously, it's much more complex now than it was at its base, right? But
absolutely.
But definitely, I love deck builders from
Yep.
start to finish. So.
I do too, man. I love deck builders, and probably one of the reasons why I like deck builders so much is because I played Dominion too much back when it came out. My goodness, we Tom and I were doing a game night at the local rec center in Korea on base, and we would have and soldiers just wanted to keep playing this game over and over. And I was like, man, can we just play something else? And that's just basically what Dominion became for me. It's just like, nope, don't want to play Dominion. Yeah. Nope, I don't want to play. I'll play anything else almost. I don't want to play Dominion. And so that's why it's not on my list. So that's a little bit of spoilers. And that's one of the games I was thinking about when I was saying earlier that this is probably going to be, this was a great year because games like Dominion came out and, all of that kind of stuff. So
there were definitely a solid handful of games.
Yeah, there was a solid handful, but good night. You get out of that handful, it's slim pickings. So that's our bottom 5 for games that came out in 2008. Let us know in the comments what you think. How did we do? Did you agree? Did you disagree? I'm pretty sure there's probably some disagreement.
A lot of disagreement, but go check the other one, the top 5, and see maybe we rectified.
Maybe we
our
rectified.
mistakes.
That's going to come up in a couple of days, so we'll see you on the flip side. Thanks for joining us. Take care.